in joining us here on the webinar today. We're going to give people just another minute or two coming in. Nina, do we have anyone else in the waiting room?
Looks like everybody's in from the waiting room, so I think we should be okay to get rolling.
Okay, Nina, would you like to give us some administrative controls?
Sure. So everybody, we have accepted your questions ahead of time for this session. As you know, when you registered, you could enter your questions. So we do have some of those. We've compiled them so that we'll be answering the most frequently asked questions. We will continue to accept your questions today, and we're going to do that through the chat box. So on your computer, that's at the bottom of your screen. On the Zoom toolbar, there's an icon that says chat. You can open that and put your question there. You can go ahead and send your question to everyone in the public chat. And if you're on a smartphone or a tablet, you can tap your screen to see that Zoom toolbar, look for the chat icon, or you may have to click more with 3 dots to see that icon, and that's where you'll be able to put in your questions. Back to you, Vicki.
Thanks so much, Nina. It's now my pleasure to introduce the chairman of the board for the Cape May County Chamber, Doug Burke. Hi, Doug.
Thank you. Hi, Vicki. Thank you. Thanks to, as always, I want to thank the great team we have at the Chamber, Vicki, Nina, staff. They've done just, it's really one Zoom call after the next and great content today, especially, we're thankful to have on again. I know Senator Testa, Assemblymen McClellan, and Simonsen. I looked to April 2nd on this call, and unfortunately, we're in a similar spot as we are. And as we're heading into our summer season here, which I know you guys are very mindful of, we're excited to have you on today to, try and sift through. And I know there's some new developments that are happening just as we're getting on the call. So appreciate you guys joining us again. And Vicki, I will turn it back to you. Thank you, Vicki.
Thanks, Doug. And so before we get started, Senator, and I want to give you a chance to give us some opening remarks on everything that's happening in Trenton and certainly around the district. There's a lot going on. It's hard to keep up with everything that's happening. But just for everybody who's joined us today, I want to say thank you for the questions that you've submitted. We did combine some of those questions because a lot of them were similar. Everybody's asking about a lot of the same things. As Nina mentioned, we do want to invite you, if you have a question, maybe we're going to stimulate some thoughts, and you might have a question about some things that have that come up in conversation today. As everyone is probably seeing, through some of the media or social media channels, Cape May County did submit its proposal for reopening to the governor yesterday. And thank you, Senator, for your advocacy for this proposal. So what we're going to do is, as Nina mentioned, you can submit a question to the chat. Brittany O'Neill, the Senator and the Assemblyman's Chief of Staff, is going to monitor those questions in the chat. And so she'll be handling that at the end of the program. And so with that, Senator, the floor, as they say, is yours. I don't know if that's the right term on webinars, but it's all yours.
I think that's the only term we have, Vicki. Thank you so much. And I want to thank the Cape May County Chamber for setting this up. This is our second meeting. And as Doug, our chairman of the Cape May County Chamber, said earlier, our last meeting was on April 2nd, so a little over 30 days ago. And here we are, we appear to be in the same boat. I'm not here to be partisan at this point in time, but I have to say, the governor just released another portion of his plan as far as the stay-at-home order is concerned, and it is an additional 30 days. To me, that is not a plan of action. That is a plan of inaction. I believe that our shore communities, particularly Cape May County, Atlantic County, Monmouth County, Ocean County, our shore communities who rely on tourism and are integral to a $45 billion a year tourism industry in the state of New Jersey, need to be open. So I just want to say we have been advocating, myself, Assemblyman McClellan, Assemblyman Simonsen, we've been advocating for a regional approach to opening the real South Jersey, Legislative District 1, which obviously includes all of Cape May County. We've been advocating for that regionalized opening for over a month. And unfortunately, it's somewhat falling on deaf ears. And there's been this blanket approach applied to the state of New Jersey, which I have to say I don't agree with at all. It's not working. Up until a couple weeks ago, we were less than 0.5% of all COVID-19 cases in the state of New Jersey. We have had somewhat of an uptick, but we're still, I believe, right below that 1% mark. And that has a lot to do with Legislative District 1's prisons, state prisons that are in Cumberland County, as well as what's been happening in our long-term care facilities. I believe that Cape May County has a wonderful plan to reopen that's been submitted to the governor, been submitted to me, obviously, and the rest of our legislative team, as well as to the Senate President and the Republican caucus. So I am confident that our plan is smart, it's measured, and will, has all of the safety taken into account. I will say this, I believe that our President of the United States has said we cannot continue to stay closed forever. We cannot allow the cure to be far worse than the disease and cripple our economy.
Thank you. Assemblyman McClellan, any comments that you have to make before we get into these questions?
Sure. I just want to thank, again, the Chamber for having us. We are continuing to fight the back what Senator Testa is saying. And the most important thing is that we need to do it together. We need to have a united voice. And the united voice is going to be us fighting to let them know that we are under different circumstances than the rest of the state. And if the governor himself is going to be on a task force with other states and other governors who've had a regionalized approach to their opening with their plan, why can't we have that plan in place also? And I think the fight that we'll continue to take up there is that we need to have a regionalized approach. And the opportunity is here and now for us to do that. And the plan that you guys put together is an excellent plan. And the fact that we're sending it up to him and trying to give him the opportunity to come back with us with some words of encouragement that he's giving us the opportunity to open. And he's thinking about South Jersey, the real South Jersey, and not thinking about how North Jersey is and what North Jersey needs, and thinks about what this economic monster that we have down here contributes to the state on an annual basis. So hopefully we'll get that through to his skull and let him fully understand that we're fighting for South Jersey, we're fighting for the economy of this state, and we're fighting for the small businesses here in South Jersey that need to be open and need to be responsibly open and treat us like an adults and not treat us like kids, because we can take care of ourselves. We know how to open responsibly. We know what we need to do. He needs to give us some idea of what he plans for us to do so we can absolutely open and be safe and sound as we need to do as a community.
Thank you. Well, then let's jump into these questions and really look forward to the conversation. So let's talk about this, about the plan and the timing for reopening Cape May County and your thoughts on that a little bit more. I know you've started with some of that, but let's expand that conversation.
Sure, Vicki. I'm assuming you were talking to me on that one. Yeah, look, if reopening is allowed, the plan is to follow every mitigation protocol that there is. Obviously with, social distancing, PPE, sanitation, and other safety requirements to the highest extent. Hotels and motels beginning to open on June 1st. Other rentals, long-term rentals would be starting very soon, in short order, May 11th, with short-term rentals starting on June 1st. Wildwood and North Wildwood have indicated they're going to start their short-term rentals on May 26th. Campgrounds for short-term rentals starting June 1st. They already are now open for seasonals. Restaurant outdoor dining would be May 26th with 75% capacity. Restaurant indoor dining June 1st with 65% capacity. Retail sell items for pickup starting May 11th. Indoor retail will commence on June 1st. Public facility. I actually want to pause right there for a second, because one of the things that I've said from very early on is that the government should not be in the business of picking winners and losers, Vicki, and the rest of the folks that are on this call. My problem is, when I go by Lowe's and Home Depot, which happen to be, in Cumberland County, they're packed. Yet the small family-owned businesses, the mom and pop shops, for lack of a better term, if you will, have been forced to be closed. And these are real people that live in our community. I know Eric, Antoine, and myself and our staff have fielded literally hundreds of calls from either merchants or employees just really upset about, hey, wait a minute, how come people can go to Lowe's and Home Depot but they can't buy a car? How come they can't, go to a small mom and pop shop that they went to all of the time, where at the most that there's going to be in a store 4 or 5 people, and social distancing is much easier than Home Depot that might have a couple hundred people in the parking lot. And that's just been really disappointing, and to me shows you how tone deaf our governor is with regards to how the real world, how the rubber hits the road in the real world. I saw some of the questions that were popping up. We are happy to supply the schedule. Brittany, I see you wanted to chime in there.
So this schedule is the proposed one from Cape May County. This is not a proposed approved from the governor. I just want to let people know, but I'm going to copy and paste the link into the chat.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah, and thanks for making that clarification, Brittany. That is the proposal that's been set forth by Cape May County, the Board of Chosen Freeholders. They've been, getting their heads together, obviously along with us and the legislative team, to determine a regional opening schedule, specifically for Cape May County. So the plan is outlined there. So if you'd like, Vicki, I could go into about the mild outbreak and the downward trend if you want me to go into more detail on that. I mean, I have some rather extensive notes that I've taken on the subject. I don't know how detailed you want me to go.
Well, I think let's go through. We've got some other questions, and we might want to come back to that.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
So the next question is, can we expect any further funding to come from the government NJEDA programs for the state of New Jersey, and will there be any set-asides for tourism-based towns?
Well, as of right now, there's no more state funding is available. Federal funding could be assessed. Many that were approved for PPP have received it or are awaiting it. And I'm assuming that everybody on the call understands. I don't like when everybody uses acronyms, but I think everybody, unfortunately, in this era where I see someone who just wrote frustrating is an understatement. Yes, I agree with you, especially with all of the unemployment issues that we've been seeing. And for the seasonal economy, people haven't had a paycheck since, October or early November at the latest. And that's many, many months without a paycheck. I'm working right now. There's a S bill at, I heard other voices. Right now I'm voting on S2371, which establishes the New Jersey Hospitality Emergency Loan Program in the EDA to provide no interest loans to brewers and other hospitality businesses. It's a $5 million appropriation to the EDA. I'm working on amendments which would increase the program amount and add the tourism industry businesses to the program. Also, there's an assembly bill right now, 3959, which expands the EDA loan program to include smaller hospitality-related businesses, and it defines qualified hospitality business with parameters for time in business and annual revenues. It further defines the life of the loan, the terms of repayment, 0 interest rate, and a 9-month grace period before repayment. It also clarifies how funds must be used for immediate and unavoidable expenses. So, I mean, there's further details on that bill, but again, I don't want to get too far into the weeds.
Senator, are these bills on the floor for a vote, or are these in committee?
Well, right now they're in committee. I have budget committee tomorrow, but these are moving very quickly. So we are scheduled for a Senate session Tuesday, Brittany. Yeah, we have on Tuesday we have.
Okay.
And thanks, Brittany, for posting it. On Tuesday we have a Senate session. Yes.
Certainly, the chamber would be in support of seeing these bills get passed.
Of course, yes.
So
they would be
happy
integral.
to. Yeah, we would be happy to send a letter of support.
Thank you.
So the next question is, how can we best advocate for Cape May and Atlantic County to be open prior to the rest of South Jersey?
Look, I mean, the more personal individual stories that we have as to the destruction, and I see one gentleman named Rusty who's posted a couple things on the bottom there in the chat, and I appreciate those comments. Believe me, the more that we hear each individual story, getting to myself, Assemblyman McClellan, Assemblyman Simonsen, and when they're posted on Facebook, we ask that you follow our Facebook pages, post them to our Facebook page. Also, Mayor Tim Donahue's Facebook page. He's very active on social media. This is really where you're going to find many of the relevant articles and plans for South Jersey, our plans, other folks' plans, as well as exactly how we are putting pressure on Governor Murphy to hear our proposals and demands. Our goal remains, it always has been for the past month or so, not only just a regional opening, but a sensible and safe partnership with the governor to save our season. And I think, Doug, I think you remember this is pretty much what I was saying a month ago. Unfortunately, it has fallen on the deaf ears of the Murphy administration. Our first call between the governor's office and the county task force was positive. We hope to continue down a positive path, but it needs to be accelerated because it's unfortunate because we need to get this done quickly. Should the governor reject the plan, well, I think we're going to need to force his hand, and this is why I'm assembling a legal team, a bipartisan legal team, to really look at the legality of many of Murphy's executive orders, which, quite frankly, I find unconstitutional. We're also looking at for future, not that this helps immediately. And I see Dagmar Rusty again. Thank you again. If for the future to see that these executive orders will have a lifespan, that they just can't go into effect forever, that they're either going to be either a 15-day expiration or 30-day expiration without approval for expansion from the legislature. Because unfortunately, one of the things that we have in the state of New Jersey is the most powerful governor in the United States of America. And it puts so much power in the executive branch that it sometimes takes what should be legislative powers away from the legislature.
Okay. The next question is, why is South Jersey being treated the same as North Jersey when it is obvious that we are different areas?
Look, Assemblyman Simonsen, Vicky has said during our campaign and beyond, just because we're at the bottom of the state doesn't mean that we need to be treated like the bottom of the barrel. And unfortunately, I think that there is a major disconnect between under the gold dome and those of us in the real South Jersey down here in Legislative District 1. We are very aware of the differences between South and North Jersey, and that is why the Cape May County Task Force has presented a plan to Governor Murphy in regards to opening Cape May County back up. We are separating ourselves based on the fact that this specific economy relies on the tourism industry, and that is why our plan is strictly aiming to open Cape May County in a way that is safe and responsible. Even just strictly economically speaking, and I don't want my words to be taken out of context to make like that there is acceptable collateral damage in this disaster. But Cape May County sends $550 million per year to Trenton in tourism tax dollars. Another plan that I'm trying to work on right now, Vicky, that would be to extend the season. I'm going to be working with the NJEA to possibly start school 2 to 3 weeks later. So this way, the region can recoup some of those losses in September. September's a beautiful month. We all know that. And how many times we're sitting in our houses saying, geez, I wish this were still the summer because this is one of the most beautiful days, but everybody's back in school already. So hopefully the NJEA will have open ears to that. I see a lot of questions coming through the chat. Do you want us to start answering those, Vicky? Or how do you
That's
want to
fine. Yeah, the floor is yours, as we
Okay.
say.
And I see a question from Ben Stoneman. Have I spoken with Cumberland County about a similar reopening plan? The answer is absolutely yes. I will say this, that other than my own legislative team, and this shows you how bipartisan we are, or nonpartisan during this pandemic, the Cumberland County Freeholder Director, Joe Dorella, has been in constant contact with me a minimum of twice a day per day since this pandemic started. He works at Inspira Hospital. So he has his, he's very well aware of what's happening with our hospital system and those individuals who are coming in as COVID positive. Unfortunately, many of them are from our state prisons that exist in Cumberland County. But yes, I have discussed with a full regional plan, not just Cape May County, but Cape May County, Cumberland County and the sliver of Atlantic County that we represent, as well as with Senator Brown, who represents Atlantic City, which, just to let you know, there's a lot of, and I see another question, I apologize. They're somewhat distracting. They pop up in the middle of me saying something, but, similarly, many Cumberland County residents, as well as Cape May County residents, work in Atlantic City. So the health of Atlantic City really goes to the entire region, both Cumberland County and Cape May County. And, put it this way in perspective, Atlantic County and Cape May County are the number 1 and 2 tourism county in the states. I'm going to look at the chat now, Vicki, to see if there's any questions I can answer right away. I see Cheryl McHale said, if I start school later than in order to meet the 100 days, will we go into the 2021 summer season? The answer is hopefully if we're able to just do 2 weeks, we might be able to give up spring break. I mean, there's a lot of proposals that we have potentially on the table. So to try to meet those needs.
That's great. Do you want to take any more questions from the chat, or do you want me to go on with some of these?
I'm going to scroll real quick.
Okay.
I see the gentleman, Dagmar Rusty, and as if we are not given dates in advance of the June 1st date, it means we will not be ready to open on the 1st. Can we force Governor Murphy's hands? If we do without, is okay. The answer, again, that'll be a challenge in the courts. Obviously, I'm an attorney. I think that would be a challenge in the courts. I think we've seen what's happened in other states. I mean, the one person that owns a salon who is now jailed in Texas, I believe it was. Obviously very unfortunate. I would not recommend opening against an executive order. I would hope that the governor would be approving of the plan that comes out of Cape May County, comes out of our legislative office, before anyone would go full bore open on that. I mean, obviously these are proposals and we want to meet them, but I certainly I can't advise anyone to open in direct conflict with the executive order.
And we have thought that, and some have suggested even that the Cape May County proposal can be a catalyst for, at least the other shore areas of the state, if not the state itself. So it could be we can be a leader in the state.
Absolutely, we can be that leader. If you saw myself, Senator Brown, Senator Singer, and Senator O'Scanlan, recently submitted, I believe it was last week, a plan to the governor that we needed to have our shore communities open. So we're all sort of, working in lockstep, the representatives from our shore communities. And I believe Senator Gopal, who's on the other side of the aisle, is also very open in that as well. The unfortunate thing is, though, like I said, we on the last call, and Doug, you'll probably remember this, I said, we only have one shot at getting this right. So we really do want to make sure that we get this right, to make sure, sanitation, PPE, all of those things are in place so that we're not putting people at risk.
So I know Brittany is also scanning the chat for questions there. Let me take the next question from the ones that were submitted in advance, and that has to do with unemployment. 600 many businesses that were closed by the governor's office. Not quite sure if we captured all of it, but it says if employees were furloughed, they were entitled to unemployment with an additional $600. If the governor allows businesses to reopen, are employees still entitled to the extra $600? And I think that's referring to the employees that are getting the extra $600. And I think the scope of the question, as I'm looking at it now, is there's a lot of concern about businesses getting their employees back to work because on unemployment they're making more money.
Sure.
I'm not sure. I know that you had a chance to look these questions over in advance, but that's kind of how I'm reading this question.
No, and Vicki, I could say, look, I represent a very, a brewery and large employer in Atlantic City, and he shared with me one of the texts and how happy he was about it was because he was just checking in on his employees, and he was texting his employees, and he said, how are you? How are things going? And one of his bartenders, who actually is making more money at home typically than they would be making, via paycheck at his place of business, said, boss, I'm ready to get back to work because we need you, and I need a place to go back to work too. So I think a lot of the employees do in fact understand that, listen, that well runs dry in July, no matter what. So they need to be back to work, and they need to have some place to go back to. Otherwise, they're going to be on unemployment or without a job for a very long time. And by the time that they're ready to go back to work, that place of business might not be in business anymore. But as of right now, Vicki, we are pressuring Governor Murphy to softly reopen businesses so that our economy can start to return to normal. Not this new normal that I keep hearing about. I really despise when I hear the new normal. I don't like that. And people who have been out of work may return to work. I think most people in America have that work ethic and that drive that they want to work. Those who are considered essential workers are not eligible for the extra $600 and are not receiving any extra funds and have not been during this entire time. So if you are able to work, we would urge anyone to return to work. It would be determined by the individual employer whether or not certain people can remain unemployed. And at the time, if you are not receiving unemployment or the what's known as the PUA funds, you are also not receiving the extra $600. So, I understand that that's an initial concern. Hey, listen, my employee's making more money sitting at home on their couch than they would be if they were working in my establishment. But guess what? That establishment might not exist any longer if the doors are shut.
Senator, do you mind if I chime in on this one?
Sure, go ahead, Britt.
I think something very important that the senator said is a very distinct, part of our community. I said this earlier with unemployment. We have individuals that were on unemployment because the season ended last October. They went on unemployment and they followed out their unemployment and were now waiting in limbo for the 13 extra weeks. If we don't have individuals, I think this is something our community needs to understand. If we don't put individuals back to work this summer, they're not earning additional income for when they would normally go back next October on unemployment. So you're looking, if you don't put people back to work this summer and start to work on safe reopening plans, a whole entire industry of community members that are stuck on this tourism, work during the summer, collect unemployment in the winter, are going to be out of income for 1 to 2 years until the next season when they can get back together. And that's assuming if we don't get our summer open this year, many of our businesses even are able to open in a year. But that's something to, I think explaining to individuals that get that $600, that once that runs out, you don't get an additional money. You have zero in your account because you didn't work for a year. So I think it's very important to express that point.
Very true. The next question shifts gears and goes into medical situation and the fact that Cape Ridge Regional Medical Center and Shore Medical were left out of the recent round of HHS funding. And so the question is, what are the efforts of the New Jersey legislature to help support our community hospitals?
Antoine, you want to field that, or you want me to field that one?
Sure. Assemblyman Simonsen is not on the call, but fortunately he made us aware of that last night of the situation, and we're extremely concerned the fact that that they didn't include us in that, and that they're taking for granted what we do down here. So the important part is to make it be known that we're going to be fighting to make sure that these hospitals are included in that, and looking at the stats that they are not considering that the stats that they have are not the full stats that they need to be really looking at to give us the money that we need to help out our staff, our hospitals, and our residents down here. And that's all inclusive of the governor just not considering South Jersey as part of the state. He seems to think that these random things that he's doing for the northern and the middle part of the state is going to be consistent with what needs to be done to make it better for us here in South Jersey. So myself and the senator and also Assemblyman Simonsen are planning at this point in time, along with also reaching out to our congressmen to let them know that Shore Memorial and Cape Regional need to be really considered. And the fact that when we open up this summer, whenever that may be, if he allows that, the people down here are going to need to have security that the staff here is going to be taken care of. So hopefully the noise that we continue to make down here is going to get to his ears and to his staff's ears, and and be able to make that change and hopefully get some more money in the pockets of Shore Memorial and also Cape Regional.
And Vicky, I'd like to chime in. Phenomenal, Antoine. Cape Regional Medical Center was left out because they did not care for 100 or more COVID-19 positive patients through April 10th. But whether it was one patient treated or 100, Shore and Cape Regional embrace the same risk as every other hospital. Every patient's life and every frontline clinician who cares for them should be counted and valued the same as those in other hospitals in the state and across the country. Obviously, the coronavirus affected much more urban communities than Cumberland and Cape May. But again, Shore and Cape Regional abided by all federal and state guidelines to protect their staff and care for COVID-19 patients by shutting down services. As a result, they have lost millions of dollars. Our team in Legislative District 1 believes that everyone matters, regardless of the size of the hospital or the community that it serves. Quite frankly, this is unacceptable, and our office will be reaching out to the governor and pressuring him on this issue. So.
That was unbelievable when we saw that they did not get that support. And yet we are faced with the same negative consequences, of our businesses being closed and our economy being shut down.
Probably more so, Vicky, actually. I mean, I think the consequences are more grave to Cape May County because, think about this, we're sort of being punished because we didn't have the amount of positives that other counties did, yet we were shut down when we didn't have the cases of the coronavirus, and our economy relies on that. At the maximum, a 5-month window in Cape May County that they can actually conduct business. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. It's punishment for good behavior.
Absolutely. And also, worst case scenario, you let the hospital start doing elective surgeries. If he wants to start trying to pigeonhole, certain parts of the state, then allow those hospitals to do elective surgeries to start to try to increase their revenue. That needs to be considered also.
Right. Brittany, do you have a question from the chat?
There is one about the NJEDA bills in committee about tourism-related nonprofit funds. We are currently working on amendments to Senate Bill 2371. Senator Testa said that earlier, and that's actually, I think, a really good idea about the nonprofits to include that in when we're working with the amendment. So we'll keep that in mind.
Okay.
Then, is there anything that we can do as a small business to make our needs known? I think that question goes along with Senator Testa's original comment of sending stories. I don't know if you guys are following the Mike Testa Facebook page. We do Minutes with Mike. Mayor Donahue does a minute, or actually I think they're 10-minute long videos where he's been talking to the public. I really do believe, and this is millennial Brittany speaking, that social media is what helps drive the messaging. Governor Murphy, when he was claiming he shut or reopened parks, was not because of pressure, it was because of mental health. I'm going to call him out on that. I'm pretty sure that was pressure. And you can see that other states have made massive changes due to political pressure. And I think your stories, the stories of the millions of business owners across our country are needed to be heard. And we would appreciate if you want to reach out to us, I can send you my personal cell phone number, and maybe I can work with you to do maybe a minute of yourself on our platform and get your voices heard as small business owners.
And Vicki, I just saw a comment from my good friend Bobby Barr, who indicates that he believes Governor Murphy is treating South Jersey very unfairly. I couldn't agree more with you, Bobby. I know you're on the ball down there in Ocean City, and I think again, the governor's plan is that he doesn't really have a plan, and that's where the real problem lies. A plan of just waiting and waiting and waiting. Originally, we were told we have to flatten the curve. When we flatten the curve, the numbers in Cape May County and Cumberland County and the sliver of Atlantic County that we represent were less than 1% of all cases in the state of New Jersey. we were told, hey, you still have to wait. A regionalized plan is not acceptable. And as Antoine said earlier in this conference, well, wait a minute. We were told that New Jersey and New York and Connecticut and other states were all going to be following a very similar plan. Well, in the state of New York, they were allowing counties to do something different in New York City because upstate New York and New York City are vastly different. Just like Essex County and Bergen County are vastly different from Cape May County. Yet, someone said to me the other day, Michael, it seems like the governor keeps moving the goalposts. I said, at this point, we're not even playing the same sport anymore. I said, he's not moving the goalposts. I say, we're not playing the same sport. This is wholly unfair. So I really appreciate Bobby Barr's comment there. Oh, it's beyond wholly unfair. It's gotten to be a different sport. We still have no idea what benchmarks we need to hit in order for us to open. Other states never closed their state parks. Other states never closed their golf courses. And what did we do? We're supposed to thank the governor for giving us permission to actually go for a walk in a state park. And it's preposterous. You're not allowed to walk on the beach, walk on the boardwalk, exercise your First Amendment right to assemble. I mean, I really truly believe at this point, we have to wake up and realize that the Constitution never gets placed on pause. And that for myself, Assemblyman McClellan and Assemblyman Simonsen, the Bill of Rights is not above our pay grade.
Well said. We do have one other question that was submitted, and that is going back on the medical topic about the process for Executive Order 109 about performing what was once elective surgeries.
Sure, Vicki, I'll take that. We just were on a conference call today with the Republican caucus, and both myself, Senator Panaccio, Senator Cardinale, we truly believe that dentistry and elective surgery should be opened up. What the story that's not being told right now is that many of our hospitals are suffering horrifically right now because they don't have elective surgeries. And what the governor, again, to Bobby Barr's point, is that the governor is not understanding what happens in South Jersey. Right now, I watch commercials on television. The Philadelphia hospitals are saying, hey, you can't get your knee surgery in New Jersey, come to Rothman in Philadelphia and get it done. And they're going to lose out on a ton of revenue that we should be allowed. And something that really bothers me about this from a constitutional perspective, what country do we live in that you have to seek permission from the governor to get an elective surgery on a knee that has been bothering you for weeks or months at this point in time? I had a conference call with Inspira, which is in Cumberland County, obviously, in Vineland, and the CEO of Inspira indicated to me, people call knee surgeries elective surgeries. He said, my knee replacement wasn't necessarily elective. I was in horrific pain for a number of months before I was able to get in. And now there's people who are sitting at home in pain, now being prescribed opiates, and instead of getting the elective surgery that would alleviate their pain, they're possibly, unfortunately, becoming reliant on opioids. That's exactly what we do not want.
Brittany, do you have any other questions from the chat for us?
There is one about people that are struggling with unemployment benefits in the state and federal PUA. So there's two things I would recommend. I'll put the number for our office into the chat. One, call us. We don't have a magic wand. However, we are able to put you in a queue that lets the Department of Labor know that this person over here needs help. Each night, the Department of Labor emails us back saying, we got your case. We will try to look into it. Normally, the Department of Labor will never return a call to us saying your case has been solved. We will reach out to the individual directly. So we have a bunch of people that believe that our office is Department of Labor. Our office is an advocacy part of the legislator, which pushes the case to the Department of Labor. The Department of Labor, once they have the case, they look into it and reach out to the individual directly. So a lot of the times people will recall us 3 times a week. I recommend not doing that. I'm guaranteeing you our office, once we talk to you on the phone or have your information from your email, we will send over your case And then on top of that, each night we send over a large list saying, we sent these cases, please look into them. It is about 1,500 cases at the point of that's how many people have reached out to us. And that's just on unemployment. There's about hundreds of small business calls as well. So I would recommend the first thing to do is call our office. We'll be able to figure out what bucket you fit in the unemployment, and then hopefully be able to add you to our queue. And I hate that word, but unfortunately that's where it is, to add you guys so the Department of Labor knows that your case needs to be looked at. And I'll add that number right now.
Okay.
And then another huge thing, so people are concerned about the risk of letting other people come to South Jersey. What is being done to consider this? I'm gonna say about 20 minutes ago, I saw that the governor is not protecting South Jersey in that sense. He's perfectly fine with keeping us safe, but he has said that there's no way he could stop people from coming to South Jersey. So if you read, I can re-input the plan that the county task force has. The plan does have a rapid testing. It has criteria that they're gonna hire staff so we can prepare for this. So I think following the county's plan and the county's leadership, working with the County Department of Health, is probably the best way of us mitigating and sanitizing and providing an actual plan to the governor, not just kicking the goalpost. The question is, as a hotel, will there be a need to prove that we are taking the proper disinfecting and sanitation procedures, and will need to provide a preparedness plan for recovery? I don't have an answer for that. Do you mind emailing me that, and I'll get back to you on that?
So Brittany, I can just add a little bit to that in the proposal for the reopening of Cape May County, there are, lots of different appendices that provide industry best practices and guidelines, including recommendations from hotel lodging industries for, what you should be doing in the reopening of your business and then the ongoing operation of your place of business. So there's lots of different industries there in addition to hotel and lodging. And in addition to that, the chamber is gathering other specific industry best practices and guidelines that, some of them were provided for us before the proposal was submitted, and others we're still collecting a number of other industry guidelines that are not as prominent in the county, and all of those will in addition be placed on the chamber website.
So I apologize, that's the train going past my apartment every 20 minutes. So I would like to add, and I'm going to put the link on the group chat. So Senator Testa, Assemblyman Simonsen, and Assemblyman McClellan will be hosting a open South Jersey press conference on Friday at 10:30 with Karen from Coho Brewery. We chose that location. One, Karen is a local business owner. One, but two, her business is completely directly across the street from Home Depot, which is allowed to operate. So steal a line from Senator Testa, and he'll be better at this than I am. Governor Murphy has picked winners and losers, and you can see directly with the comparison of Karen has a large facility, very large parking lot. It's perfectly fine to allow her to start operating in a social distance CDC filing guidelines, but unfortunately the governor doesn't think that her small business deserves a voice, but Home Depot across the street is completely open for business with packed people, packed lines, and packed parking lots. So I'll add that advisory to this. If anyone wants to join us, you're more than welcome to. I think that's pretty much all of the concerns.
Okay, yeah, not seeing any other new questions in the chat. I don't know if you have any closing remarks, Senator or Assemblyman, or Doug, if you do as well.
As far as my closing remarks, Vicki, I truly believe that this regionalized approach was the right approach for about the past 4 to 5 weeks. You know, look, in the beginning, I think we didn't know what this virus did. It's called the novel coronavirus for a reason. So I think everybody was smart and following the original plan from the experts. But as I said, there's only 2 jobs where you can be as wrong as Dr. Fauci has been, still be employed and considered an expert, and that's Dr. Fauci and your local weather person. I mean, you know, thank God he was way off in his original projections of 2 million individual lives lost. Right now, I mean, the number I think yesterday I saw was approximately 77,000. And that's not to say that there's any level of acceptable collateral damage. But at this point, you know, for the last 4 to 5 weeks, we've been well aware that this virus is not as dangerous as we once thought. And look, nobody's forcing anybody to leave their home. If they want to stay home, self-quarantine and be safe, that's great. But the economy does need to be opened up. And as Cape May County is a truly seasonal economy, and most people either work in the seasonal industry or work for Cape May County government, need to be open. That $550 million in tourism tax dollars per year is no small drop in the New Jersey bucket. And it also affects hundreds of thousands of lives, both locally and all of the visitors that visit Cape May County. We need to be open sensibly, smartly, and safely. And I got to tell you, another 30 days of waiting to me is not a plan in the least. And I think that the Murphy administration is tone deaf at this point and really not in touch with the person on the street and the individuals in Legislative District 1.
And yeah, thank you. Thank you again for having us. And just the follow up, you know, the cry that we had when we originally started this, our descent into Trenton, it was that they consider us not important unless they're taking our tax dollars. And there's no way that this should continue on. And so we're up there, we're fighting, and we're calling on the governor to allow us to operate and open it and do things safely. And we need your help to do that. You know, the 3 of us, along with the mayor, are continuing to make requests, but the requests are going to continue to fall on deaf ears without more strength. And our strength is in numbers. Cape May County has continued, as always, to protect each other and to protect themselves and fight for one another. So we're going to continue to have to do that, and we're going to have to do that together. So when we go to Trenton, when we go to the governor, when we make requests, we want to do that on the back of the entire county and the back of the entire legislative district, not just 3 people up there screaming and hollering. So you businesses here, we're going to continue to fight for you, but we need you to be a voice also. So we need you to email the governor and let him know that, you know, you're tired of being not treated as equals. You're tired of him considering North Jersey and Central Jersey more popular than South Jersey, when all they do is take our money every year and not give us anything back for it. So please continue to fight with us and continue to be a voice with us, because our voice will be stronger with you backing us. So we will fight. We will let the governor know that he can't continue to pick and choose what he wants to do. You know, when you can't go to your church, but you can go and stand in the supermarket, it makes no sense. People wanted to have church in the parking lot and safely in their cars, and he's not allowing you to do that. But he will allow you to go to Home Depot and stand 2 inches from somebody on to the right, but 6 feet from them in front of you, and that just doesn't make any sense. So at this point in time, let's be a united voice. Let's support this initiative that we're trying to put forward to him, and let's let him know this is a plan that we've done as a county, and allow us to do that, and allow us to open safely, and allow us to make money and to do the things that we need to do to support our neighborhoods and our families and our friends and our state. Because what's going to happen is this is not going to go away anytime soon. You know, it's going to get less and less. What is he looking for? For it to be 0? That's just not a goal that's going to happen. So let's fight together. Let's be together. Let's pray for one another. And let's let everybody know that South Jersey starts here in Cape May County, and that we're going to continue to fight for our summer and for our small businesses here.
Well said. Before Doug closes us out, I want to just mention and perhaps you've seen it in our daily announcements, but tomorrow at 11 o'clock, Secretary of State Tahisha Wei is announcing the 2019 Tourism Economic Impact Statistics via a webinar. And last year, everybody knows, I think, that Cape May County had an off-the-charts tourism season. So the number that we use of $6.3 billion for our tourism economy is actually a 2018 number. Tomorrow, we're going to find out what our new number is. So we will, again, in our end of the day, what a day edition, we'll have the registration link to that webinar. And you'll be able to join and hear what the economic impact is for tourism for the state, but in particular, we want to know what it is for Cape May County, what the real number is. So with that, Doug, turn the program back to you.
Thank you. And one more plug too for the What a Day email. Take a look. Vicki and Nina have done a great job. We have some signs. I think as Senator Testa and Assemblyman McClellan mentioned, you know, our healthcare workers on the front lines. We want to show our appreciation around the community for them. So please take a look at those emails. Vicki and Nina do a great job keeping everyone updated with that. Yeah, just quickly to close, I think it's without doubt the passion and the hard work. Senator Testa, Brittany, Assemblyman McClellan, I mean, we really appreciate it. On behalf of Cape May County, I mean, you guys, sometimes we feel forgotten, but my takeaway from this call is you're fighting every day really hard for us. So we really appreciate all your hard work.
Thank you.
And hopefully we'll see some progress here soon, which I know you guys are pushing hard for. So thank you to everybody for joining the call today, and thank you guys for all your hard work.
Thank you.